Episode 56 RZ March 19, 2024. White House Environmental Quality Newsletter. Australia Forest Burning. In Episode 56 RZ1, White House Environmental Quality Newsletter /2 World. 3. Michigan. 4. Canada. 5. United Kingdom. 6. Finland. 7. Sweden. 8. Serbia. 9. Thailand. 10. Australia, New South Wales, Sydney. How many times are we going to have to show that biomass, the burning of wood for fuel, is not a net zero energy source? A destructive forest proposal threatens nature. 1. March 18, 2024. White House Council on Environmental Quality. Greetings. March 7, 2024. Excerpts edited by RAWSEP for brevity and clarity in relationship to Residents Against with Smoke Emission Particulates. A 501c3 nonprofit organization. President Biden delivers his State of the Union address. When President Biden took office, he pledged to restore America's climate leadership at home and abroad, and every day since, that the Biden-Harris administration has led and delivered on the most ambitious climate, conservation, and environmental justice agenda in history. In President Biden's State of the Union address, he spoke directly to the American people about the Biden-Harris administration's commitment to confronting the climate crisis, conserving at least 30% of America's lands and water by 2030, and taking historic action on environmental justice. View President Biden's full 2024 State of the Union address here. Today, the Biden-Harris administration announced a historic ban on ongoing uses of asbestos. This marks the first rule finalized under the nation's updated chemical safety law, a milestone in the Biden-Harris administration's efforts to protect public health, advance environmental justice, and end cancer as we know it. Last week, President Biden traveled to Milwaukee, Wisconsin to announce $3.33 billion in grant awards for 132 projects through the U.S. Department of Transportation's DOT. Reconnecting Communities Pilot and Neighborhood Access and Equity discretionary grant programs as part of the Biden-Harris administration's Investing in America agenda. This program is a key component of the administration's commitment to environmental justice, including to deliver for disadvantaged communities as part of President Biden's Justice 40 initiative. Also last week, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, announced a final rule to slash toxic emissions of ethylene oxide, ETO, and reduce cancer risk. This represents an important step to advance the Biden Cancer Moonshot's efforts to prevent cancer before it starts by protecting communities around the country from cancer risk from ETO. White House Council on Environmental Quality, CEQ. Chair Brenda Mallory traveled to Spartanburg, South Carolina and gave a keynote address to more than 300 participants at a community event highlighting how federal, state, local, and other partners are working together to address legacy pollution, advance environmental justice, and revitalize communities. This event advanced the White House campaign for environmental justice. The Biden-Harris administration also recently announced the release of the Fiscal Year 2025 budget, which includes pro-growth investments in clean energy across the nation, cutting energy bills for families, creating good-paying jobs, advancing environmental justice, ensuring critical technologies are made in America, supporting locally led conservation of our lands and waters, and building climate resilience for American communities and infrastructure historic action to address water pollution crossing the U.S.-Canada border. $120 million through the U.S. Department of the Interior, DOI. From President Biden's Investing in America agenda to enhance climate resilience in tribal communities. $425 million in funding through the U.S. Department of Energy, DOE. To reduce industrial emissions and advance clean energy manufacturing essential to the U.S. energy supply chain. $145 million through the U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA. To help landowners access climate markets. $2.30 billion in projects through USDA to expand affordable, reliable clean power in rural communities. The release of final rules by the U.S. Department of the Treasury on provisions to expand the reach of clean energy tax credits. The establishment of the Everglades to Gulf Conservation Area in Southwest Florida as the 571st and newest unit of the National Wildlife Refuge System. $72 million through DOI to help tribal communities electrify homes. The U.S. Department of Energy, Department of Transportation, and Environmental Protection Agency released the first-ever national zero-emission freight corridor Strateg. Nearly $66 million through the USDA to improve water quality, roads, trails, bridges, and fish habitat on national forests and grasslands nationwide. Keep reading for more updates from the Biden-Harris administration. If you were forwarded this email or are not on our list yet, please visit our sign-up page. Greetings. Environmental news. Get involved. Upcoming meetings/events. March 19, 2024 from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. U.S. Environmental Protection Agency National Environmental Justice Community Engagement Calls Summary. EPA invites environmental justice, EJ, advocates to participate in its national EJ community engagement calls. The purpose of these calls is to inform communities about EPA's environmental justice work and enhance opportunities to maintain an open dialogue with environmental justice advocates. As environmental justice continues to be integrated into EPA programs and policies, the agency hopes that relaunching these calls will help reaffirm EPA's continued commitment to work with community groups and the public to strengthen local environmental and human health outcomes. Link, https://uspod.zoomgov.com/webinar/register/wn_11GDMDISNUZJIQ/registration April 4th. 2024 from 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time, EPA Tools and Resources Training Webinar Series, Report on the Environment Summary. The EPA Tools and Resources Webinar Series translates EPA research and shares research resources and information that are useful, practical/applied, and available to meet stakeholders' research needs. Link: https://www.epa.gov/research-states/epa-tools-and-resources-training-webinar- series. Requests for information and proposals. Federal agencies are seeking public input to help inform the development of funding opportunities, grant processes, policy, and program implementation. Below is a list of open requests for information and public comment. National Park Foundation and National Park Service, Source Reduction X Circular Economy Initiative to Reduce Plastic Waste in National Parks. Request for Proposals Summary. The National Park Foundation, NPF, is excited to announce a request for proposals, RFP, for a new plastics reduction and circularity grant to reduce plastic waste in national parks. NPF, in collaboration with the National Park Service, NPS, is seeking proposals that represent commitment and collaboration between a park, its concessionaires or commercial use authorization holders, and/or one or more organizations from the park's gateway community to improve life cycle management of products, with an emphasis on source reduction of plastics used in and around national parks and their gateway communities. The goal is to foster innovative approaches to plastics reduction and recycling from within parks, communities, and commercial operations that will lead to enduring change in national parks and beyond. Please see the request for proposals for more information about this opportunity and how to apply. Link: https://www.nationalparks.org/uploads/2024-circular-economy-rfp_final.pdf. Deadline: April 18th. 2024 Environmental Protection Agency, EPA Stakeholder Engagement on Inflation Reduction Act Programs to Reduce Embodied Greenhouse Gas Emissions Associated with Construction Materials and Products Summary. The Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, is announcing the first opportunities for public input on new programs focused on lower carbon construction materials made possible by a $350 million investment from the Inflation Reduction Act, IRA. The agency will hold 3 public webinars and is accepting written feedback on establishing the new grant and technical assistance programs and a carbon labeling program for construction materials with substantially lower levels of embodied carbon. Link: https://www.regulations.gov/docket/epa-hq-opt-2022-0924/document. Deadline: May 1st, 2024. Department of Health and Human Services, Environmental Justice Community Innovator Challenge Summary. The Office of the Assistant Secretary for Health, OSH, and the Office of Minority Health, OMH, are seeking community-led strategies and tools to address health disparities in communities disproportionately impacted by environmental risks and hazards, including those related to climate change and the cumulative impacts of other stressors. Applications open on March 19, 2024. Link: https://www.challenge.gov/?challenge HHS-environmental-justice-community-innovator-challenge. Deadline: June 30th. 2024 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. News clips of the week. The Washington Post: U.S. fully bans asbestos, which kills 40,000 a year. The New York Times: Biden vows to save the planet from the climate crisis. AP News: U.S. Canada and indigenous groups announce proposal to address cross-border mining pollution. WSPA: White House and EPA staff tour Greenville Company Superfund site set for cleanup. CNN: Red and blue states are competing for Biden's climate funds. Here's what they're planning. Washington Post: Biden aims to repair places left broken by previous economic strategies. AP News: The United States has its first large offshore wind farm, with more to come. Tweets of the week. President Biden: At POTUS, we've got to recognize the truth of our history to make new history. This week, that's what we did, investing $3.3 billion in 132 projects to deliver environmental justice, opportunities, and right our historic wrongs in communities across America that have been left behind. Vice President Kamala Harris, at VP: The activism and courage of our young leaders is helping at POTUS, and I deliver historic progress on the climate crisis. Through our American Climate Corps, we will train 20,000 more young people for jobs in the clean energy economy. Learn more at http://whitehouse.gov/climatecorps. EPA Administrator Michael Regan, at EPA: Michael Regan: Asbestos is a dangerous carcinogen that's known to cause lung cancer, mesothelioma, ovarian cancer, and a host of other serious health challenges. That's why EPA is taking action to protect people's health by effectively ending ongoing uses of asbestos in the United States. CEQ Chair Brenda Mallory, at Brenda Mallory 46, it was great to see at POTUS investing in America agenda at work to clean up groundwater contamination in Greenville, South Carolina. Now this old mill site will be transformed into a community gathering place, job center, and historical gem thanks to local partnerships. #Environmental Justice. 2. World. In the armpit of the universe, a window into the persistent inequities of environmental policy inside climate news. The researchers believe that being exposed to PM 2.5 or NO2 during their early years may play a role, according to the study that was published on February 3, Michigan, Detroit. Fire begins after burning log is removed from fireplace and set on wood pile in Detroit Lakes Tribune. Crime and fire report. Thief steals phone and purchases plane ticket. Assault reported at church function. And more from area law enforcement call. Wisconsin, Green Bay. Outdoor fire danger remains high. WBY burn pile or fire it. For Canada, Prince Edward Island, PEI. Any burning questions? It's forest fire season on PEI. Yahoo News UK. Landscaping. Picking the right type of trees in and around your house. Making sure that your firewood isn't stacked against the house. Making sure. 5. United Kingdom, Camden. Camden announces 5 new air quality projects. Air quality news jointly led by Camden and Islington Councils. This project aims to build on the success of the London Wood Burning Project Awareness Campaign. It will provide training and materials to support the investigation and enforcement of household wood burning complaints in smoke control areas across 6. Finland, Helsinki. A nationwide epidemiological study on the associations between ambient particulate matter nature. We observed immediate associations for particulate matter, odds ratio for suicide per 5.64 gm-3 increase in PM 2.5 from the current day, lag 0, of. Growing evidence suggests that air pollution is associated with an increased risk of suicide, albeit with a limited understanding of the mechanisms. Here we examine the short-term association between suicide and particulate matter with a diameter less than or equal to 10 m PM10, or less than or equal to 2.5 m PM2.5. Using a time-stratified case crossover design and nationwide data from Finland from 1985 to 2014, including 35,534 suicides, and investigate whether the association differed by demographic, spatial, and temporal factors. We observed immediate associations for particulate matter, odds ratio for suicide per 5.64 gm-3 increase in PM 2.5 from the current day, lag 0, of 1.010 and 95% confidence interval 1.000 to 1.020, estimated from single lag models, with a greater magnitude of the associations in the warm season. The associations between exposure to particulate matter and suicide were particularly evident among males, people under 65 years of age, and those who died by suicide using violent methods, particularly during the warm season. Our findings help to better understand susceptibility changes and vulnerable subpopulations in the PM, suicide association, and improve mental health promotion programs. 7. Sweden, Stockholm. Podcast, Monitoring Air Quality is Crucial in the Fight Against Pollution. SEI Stockholm Environment Institute. Anika, an expert in the field, explains that air pollution encompasses a variety of harmful substances, with particulate matter, PM 2.5, being among. 8. Serbia. What satellite data tells us about air quality in Serbia? European Data Journalism Network. PM 2.5 particles, fine particulate matter, are one of the main indicators of the degree of air pollution, according to the World Health. 9. Thailand, Chiang Mai. Thai PM vows to curb air pollution in tourist hotspot Chiang Mai. The Irrawaddy Thaksin, on his first public outing since his release from a jail sentence following his return from self-exile, also spoke about PM 2.5, calling it, Minister launches royal rainmaking operation to tackle Chiang Mai's PM 2.5 crisis. ASEAN now PM 2.5, which was at concerning levels in the northern region. Dr. Chia issued an order to relevant agencies to urgently launch a. What did Chiang Mai people gain from the visits of Sretha, Thaksin, and Pita? KSOD English. Prime Minister Sretha Thavisin and former Prime Minister Somchai, the former Prime Minister, also stated that now the most important issue is PM 2.5. 10. Australia, New South Wales, Sydney. How many times are we going to have to show that biomass, the burning of wood for fuel, is not a net zero energy source? A destructive forest proposal threatens nature. Destructive forest proposal threatens nature, climate. Mirage News. How many times are we going to have to show that biomass, the burning of wood for fuel, is not a net zero energy source? It generates more emissions. March 18, 2024. Excerpts edited by RAWSEP for brevity and clarity in relationship to Residents Against Wood Smoke Emission Particulates, a 501c3 nonprofit organization. The proposal to burn native forests to produce electricity has again reared its ugly head, this time seeking to capitalize on NSW's do what you want approach to habitat clearing. Verdant Earth is seeking to secure 850,000 tons of wood per year from forests and bush in the Hunter region, in order to restart Red Bank Power Station as a biomass generator, the burning of wood and other organic matter for fuel. The company has been making misleading claims to the media about the proposal, which if approved will lead to large-scale habitat loss across the Hunter region. The environmental impact statement for the project, currently available for public exhibition, also contains a range of deceptive and misleading claims, in particular that the proposal would help decarbonize the electricity system and be ecologically sustainable. The Nature Conservation Council of NSW, the state's leading environmental advocacy organization, vehemently refutes both claims, and is calling on the NSW Labor government to deliver on their election commitment and disallow the burning of native vegetation for electricity. Verdant incorrectly claims that because trees sequester carbon when they grow, burning them is net zero. However, burning greenwood chips emits 50% more CO2 per megawatt hour of energy produced than burning coal. See further research here. The proposal is to use biomass from land that has been cleared, not in forests that are going to regrow. Even if the forests did regrow, logged forests store far less carbon than old-growth forests, and they can take hundreds of years to sequester the carbon the logged tree stored. Verdant Earth been trying to claim that wood-fired power is green or net zero since they purchased the mothballed Red Bank coal-fired power station. How many times are we going to have to show that biomass, the burning of wood for fuel, is not a net zero energy source? It generates more emissions per megawatt hour of energy than coal.